Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades, we're back from a Thanksgiving holiday. With me today to discuss, I guess it's a reaction video by Joe Heshmire and Catholic Answers, is another Joe, Joseph Anders. I hope your Thanksgiving was great, parish orphans and retrogrades. Joe Anders, I hope your Thanksgiving was great. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a great Thanksgiving. My son is celebrated his first birthday, so it was just fantastic to have the family over and smoke a turkey.
That's nice. And it's incredible how fast time goes. Having kids proves it. I can't believe it's one. Yeah, it's light speed. Wait till you hit your mid-30s. Boy.
I don't even want to know.
You don't. So, I don't know. I have this big announcement coming later this week or early next week. Obviously, it involves feminism, which is really what we've been devoting our time to here. It involves our contribution to posterity on the feminism issue. And that's exciting. In the maybe I'll soft announce it to the locals today in the local show. But while all that's going on, we had a couple funny things happen over the Thanksgiving break. So Joe Heshmire of Catholic Answers makes this video sort of subtweeting us and just finding a Protestant to the north and a Protestant to the south of where Catholic Answers is comfortable being in their limited hangout position on the unalterable teaching on husband-wife relations, that wives must obey their husbands in all things except sin. They're trying to limited hangout, and they attribute basically the Catholic position I've been articulating for 5 years. Joe, you and I have been doing it together a lot recently, to some Protestant view that they don't like. I'm gonna basically sum it up right now. A husband does not have the prudential authority to even decide singularly when to buy a car. And they're trying to find some middle position between that, which is wrong. A husband does have that prudential authority, and then the feminist position. And of course, that's because Catholic Answers has always been soft feminist, not even that soft. And then there's another Lila Rose video that we're going to play. It's her trashing her husband. We'll play that at the end. Everyone's sick of seeing these femmes trash their husbands online, and they're doing it while trying to sound nice. But first, I just want to give you, Joe Anders, the opening shot, because you're the one that pointed out the other Joe Heshmire's little video on Ephesians 5. He brought it to my attention.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the essential idea throughout the entire video is that male headship is something that is only regarding sin. That you are not to obey. You are not to obey your husband. You are only subject to your husband in matters of objective morality, and it's just it completely upends countless encyclicals by the popes, church teaching, scripture, all of these things. And I think that the fundamental misunderstanding here is that the husband is subject to the wife is subject to the husband in all things, and that includes prudential judgments. The only thing that it excludes, this is the major difference that Heshmire needs to understand. It excludes the sinful. It's not strictly the sinful. That's the dichotomy that I think that he needs to understand, because if it were prudential judgments, and one of the examples that he gives in the video, which are we reacting to the video?
Yes, we're going to play.
Okay, we're going to do a reaction to it. So I'll talk about this when it comes up. He uses the analogy of buying a car as an instance where, like, if he's buying a car when the family shouldn't be buying a car, that's not an instance in which a woman needs to be obedient to her husband. And in fact, what does that lead to? Does that mean she now reserves the right to nag? Does that mean she reserves the right to take authority for herself, to separate herself from the body that is the family, the one flesh that is her marriage? None of that is ever been permitted in Catholicism up until 100 years ago. And again, these are eternal teachings. It's being permitted wrongly. It's not being permitted licitly. That's the best way to put it.
For starters, we have to open this conversation with 1 Corinthians, 7, 9, 11, 13. It's funny, they skip all the odd passages in 1 Corinthians. obliterates the limited hangout view that Catholic Answers is scrambling to fabricate. And by that, I just mean they're trying to come up with a middle way between what I've been saying since I published the case for patriarchy and since I announced it 6 years ago, and what you've been saying, Joe, and the hard feminism that they used to stand for. Now they're changing their position, much as you're seeing some of the Daily Wire influencers doing on Israel. They're softening their position to come up with a sort of new, having the half, so to speak, between the hard, correct position and their former position. And 1 Corinthians teaches the woman was made for the man, not the man for the woman. Therefore, woman is the glory of man. Man is the glory of God. Woman was made after man, and therefore she is subject to man. Okay? These are all 1 Corinthians teachings. And then these goofballs want to just pick apart one passage, Ephesians 5, because there's one line in there that they think means something that it doesn't. The one line where it's be subject to one another. Pius XI tells us what that one instance of mutual submission means. The one place where husband and wife are equal, where we have egalitarian rights, is to one another's bodies in the sexual act, in the conjugal debt. That's the one place where we're equal. And they talk about it like it's the one place where we're not equal. But that's the one place where a wife can say, hey, I want sex now, husband. And a husband can say it back. That's the only place where it's collateral. Do you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that's the obfuscation, that's the subversion, to say the least, that a lot of these, Catholic feminists of today try to use. They try to say that, well, it says mutual submission, and the other thing that they'll try to abuse is the term complementarity. They'll try to abuse the term complementarity and say that complementarity means that each role is equal to the other role. And that is also not true. Something can be complementary and unequal at the same time. These are all like little things that they pull out, and they sound very convincing rhetorically. But when you actually parse things out and you actually dig into the formal logic, I mean, I studied formal logic for an entire year. You were you taught logic, didn't you? So,
yeah.
You think about all these things, and when I see these Catholic feminists making some of the arguments that you make, you can attack them right at the source. You can attack them at the conclusions of their arguments. You saw in the last video that me and you did, the one on my channel, what we talked about was lateral attacks. A lateral attack is when you attack somebody's premises in an argument as opposed to their central thesis, their conclusion of their argument that they're trying to draw, or the assumption that they're trying to use to get to that conclusion. And if you attack that, you can actually overturn it. So in this case, when you see feminists abusing complementarity or mutual submission, you can attack them right at the conclusion. And the conclusion is that mutual submission is in regard to the marital debt, which means you owe your spouse sex when they ask for it. You have to submit to that request, both husband and wife. It has nothing to do with rank. It has nothing to do with questioning judgment. It has nothing to do with any of those things. That is about a specific thing. It's about becoming one flesh. That's what it's about. The unitive act. And I think that in the case of complementarity, you see the same thing. It is they are complementary but unequal. The man has more authority. There's not the complementary rights that the woman brings to the table do not equal the authority that the man has. They never do.
The other thing too, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but when I read that verse, so we're talking specifically about Ephesians 5:22, the thing that feminists love to talk about, and Catholic Inc. loves to talk about this verse: wives, submit to yourselves. 21, submitting yourselves to one another in fear of God. What's interesting to me is that when I first read this as a new Catholic, it makes it very clear as you go on to the very next verse. It's telling each husband and wife, this is what you submit. You do not submit the same things, but this is what you give to each other. Wives have to give themselves unto their husbands as to the Lord. That means that the husband is the head of the wife. Obedience. Yep. Right. And the husband has to, it goes on, love his wife. So
the husband never obeys.
But there is not one line in Scripture not one, where the husband has to obey his wife. There's at least 5 or 6 where the wife has to obey her husband. So to me,
there's 8. There's 8.
Oh, there's 8. To me, this is just this is just dishonesty, because Scripture goes on to say right away, the very next line, okay, so now here's what you actually submit to one another. Wives have to submit obedience to their husbands. Husbands have to submit love. Different things, not same things.
Right. And also, and if the bandits should fall upon the husband and wife on the road, the husband has to submit his life. But here in Pius XI, the very Pope that Joe Heshmire is misquoting in order to reify this limited hangout to come up with some new, slightly less feminist position on behalf of Catholic Answers. The same Pope, Pius XI, says the only submission that's mutual is either in this sense of they're trading non-symmetrical goods. The wife trades obedience. The husband never trades obedience. And the liars talk about it as if the husband sometimes obeys. That's why Joe Heshmire says he basically has to obey his wife on the purse strings. He can't go buy a car. It's just a lie. It's a lie by liars. We're going to play that in a second. But so there's the trade of symmetrical goods, asymmetrical goods, obedience for protection, basically. Okay, there's a submission there on either part, but it's asymmetrical. The only symmetrical trade that's you're trading the same goods for the same goods is also covered in 1 Corinthians 7, verse 4. For if the wife does not for the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. That's the only symmetry in use, or I hate to call it a usufructual.
Tim, but you can't forget dignity as well, because the women can go to heaven too, just like guys can.
That's a capacity, though. That's not a right. They can both go to heaven. Right?
Sure.
So they're equal in dignity, but that's not even an equal right, because rights are things you're allowed to do. That's just literally a capacity. All human beings have the capacity. I mean, a child, a baby, has equal dignity to its mother, but the mother can command the baby, right? Babies can make rational decisions. So the only symmetrical submission, Pius XI says, and repeated by 1 Corinthians 7:4, is the conjugal debt. All decisions in life, 99.5% of your life decisions are prudential. It's not like, do we go to mass today? No, that's not really prudential. No one's sick. Do we go to mass today? That's part of the 0.5% that's not prudential, because it's spoken to directly by the black letter law. 99.5% of decisions are, you're not going to find out whether it was right or wrong until the end of time with infused knowledge. What's the right price to pay for a car? With that send-off, let's listen to Joe Heshmire lie about this. I like Joe in a lot of ways, but he's lying here because he's been tasked with responding to you and to me with a limited hangout.
Let me add it.
I mean, something like the husband makes...
Sorry.
Both coming from the Protestant world. The first one is a model of headship that I think is expressed well in a letter that a woman named Mary wrote to Pastor John Piper, in which she says, I know that submission is a requirement of the wife, and I've been working hard lately to hold my tongue and agree with my husband, even when I have a different opinion. In the letter, she goes on to ask if she's erred by going along with her husband's decision to unwind the car.
Yeah, pause.
He's about to say, no, don't.
He said,
you can't do that. That's leading. That is literally a near occasion. You are being the near occasion of sin. You are instructing this woman to go out and disobey her husband. Uh-oh. I think you're frozen, Tim. But that's the point. You know, they're frozen. I'm gonna take over here. And what's important about this specific passage is that she's talking right now about, are you guys back? There you go. You guys were frozen for a bit.
Sorry. Okay. Are you there, Joe?
Yeah, I'm still here. I had never left. I was doing a little talking while you guys were getting back in, so.
All right, go for it. Thanks for covering.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just saying that, like, he's instructing the woman to not do this. Like, that's if it's one of those things where I do think that he believes that what he's saying is correct. I'm not trying to be uncharitable to Joe Heshmire or anything like that. He believes that this is true. I think there's only one thing in this video that leads me to think that he's being disingenuous, but outside of that, I think that he's sincere here, but he needs to realize that, like, I'm like, as a brother in Christ, you cannot tell women to do this. Like, you are sinning when you do this. This is a sin to do. To tell a woman to not obey her husband in certain instances, which he's about to do here, is very bad. So you guys can go ahead and keep playing. I just wanted to point that out. This is sinful.
It's more than that even. It's a woman who has recently developed the good habit of submitting as you know,
Pius the 11th says.
Pius the 11th says, and as Abraham was submitted to by Sarah, which is quoted in the Roman Catechism, submit to your husband, calling none others aside from God, Lord, before him. And she's doing that. She's like, look, I've been cultivating the habit of submitting to my husband, even if I think I disagree. And Joe is doing worse than saying don't acquire that habit. He's saying undo that newly acquired good habit. That is deeply evil.
And giving a really stupid example of where a wife needs to, if a wife can just start nagging her husband over a dumb car, then she's going to invent much, much more important issues in her own mind to cause marital havoc.
Which is why I think he knows what he's doing. This is
I really hope not.
This is an obviously prudential decision. Whether or not to buy a car, uniquely male decision. And he's claiming that you could know. He's claiming something you can't know. He's claiming knowledge that you can't have. Certainty on phronesis or prudential decisions, impossible. You don't know it till the end of time. What's the ideal amount to have paid for a unit of gold? You don't know what the ideal or the perfect amount of any commodity is. And he's saying, well, she knows that this is wrong. How you can't know it's wrong to buy a car.
Well, and I want to just point out before we get started, I already know what his defense is going to be. And he's like, well, I'm not talking about the difference between a $25,000 car and a $27,000 car. I'm saying, like, they're homeless. Their kids are starving and they finally got a check for $25,000 and he's going to go and spend it. It's like, well, now we're entering sin. So it's like, that's not a prudent. We're not doing a prudential judgment. If you're failing to feed your children, you're sinning.
Well, the failure is in failing to feed your children. Even then, it's not
about the car, is my point.
It's a more obviously, it's a more predictably errant prudential judgment, but it's still his to make. And it's always his to make, because the difference between the finite and the infinite is infinite. And what that means, that line of Thomas means you cannot know prudential decisions with certitude until you have infused knowledge at the end of time. It's just a fact.
This is why it's personal responsibility for women. Ladies, you pick your leader. Pick a guy who makes proper prudential decisions. Because here's the thing. If you get married and he wants to buy a $75,000 car and you guys have $20,000 in your bank account, then guess who holds him accountable if you're starving? Not you. Your wife. The wives do not hold their husbands accountable. God does.
At the end of time.
And this is why it works. You marry a guy who cares when he faces his Lord at the end of his last judgment, that he can say, did you make the right decisions in regards to your family? If you marry a guy who's making bad decisions, then that's on you. And you still aren't going to hold him responsible anyway. God will.
Right. One head. The head's above the heart. If is St. John Chrysostom.
But also don't let your kids starve.
Yeah, but even if you're letting your kids starve, which is obviously prudentially wrong, predictably prudentially wrong, that's on the husband.
It is.
And the wife shouldn't have married him. I mean,
that is also true. Both are true.
Yeah. So the wife is not the authority over him where he has to obey in any sense of the term. Now, she can set what a wife can always do is chasten her husband once. Steph and I call it the one bite of the apple rule in this book. The one bite of the apple rule. So a wife has one try. Are you sure? And she can even chasten him with, this could be an obvious prudentially wrong act, and you're going to be judged for that. She can say that, and that's it, and then forever hold her peace. So wives are allowed, because they do have the dignity of a second in charge, to one time respectfully go, okay, this is one where I will enthusiastically obey you, and see that your will is done, husband, if you continue to insist on your decision. But I just want to point out for 10 seconds, I think this is one you'll think better of later. You can say that. It's like a king with his war council and his peace council. The war council has the right to say, go to war. Peace council has the right on the other side of the king to say, no, stay at peace. And then the king makes the decision. Now, that's all a wife is a counselor. She gets one bite of the apple, one crack of it. So you're not yelling at her. She doesn't have to forever hold her peace. She can say it once. That should be reasonably rare, but not twice. Then he's the king. She's not.
We have a challenge in chat. It says, to be fair, that's not what he said. It was a real case where the wife said she didn't even voice her opinion about the car. He never said the man didn't have final say.
Play it again. No, that's not a legitimate. I'll explain why that's not a legitimate challenge.
Both coming from the Protestant world. The first one is a model of headship that I think is expressed well in a letter that a woman named Mary wrote to Pastor John Piper, in which she says, I know that submission is a requirement of the wife, and I've been working hard lately to hold my tongue and agree with my husband, even when I have a different opinion. In her letter, she goes on to ask if she's erred by going along with her husband's decision to unwisely buy a new car, even when she knew he was making a mistake. So that's the first model of headship. I mean, something like,
right,
the husband makes all the decisions,
pause.
The wife's role is just to hold her.
So this ignorant person in chat who doesn't know what they're talking about doesn't understand that the fathers, Chrysostom, Jerome, Ambrose, Augustine, all extol the virtue of this term of art, holding your tongue. He's you're just wrong. Oh, he said hold your tongue. He didn't say holding your tongue is good. So you understand really clear. This is an obvious thing. Everyone knows men are in charge and women are followers, but you've been brainwashed to the opposite proposition. The case where a woman gets one bite of the apple is a case where, and I should soften it up. I know people are disagreeing, and it's an area where I've looked at it a tremendous amount. Maybe you haven't, but don't contradict your common sense. You know what it is for someone to be in charge of your teenagers. That's what it's like with your wife. It's like having a smart teenager around. They have dignity. They can go to heaven. They can. Their perspective is more valuable than a 3 or 7 year old. But hey, I heard it. I don't need it I don't need what you're saying anymore. Thank you. Maybe that influenced me. Maybe it didn't. You need to stop now. And here's the thing. That is the boundary condition, Joe Enders. The boundary condition, it shouldn't be every time the wife is weighing in one bite of the apple. It should be at most every once in a while the wife is weighing in. Generally speaking, the patristics say a wife should be chastened to hold her tongue. Just whatever you say goes. If it's a really, really important article of life for the wife, okay, one bite of the apple, I'll bring something up for 10 seconds.
Well, the other thing is I don't like how he's even framing this. He's automatically in this clip assuming that this situation where he bought the car, this woman married a buffoon. He's an idiot. This decision that he made to go out and buy this car was totally irresponsible. It was the dumbest thing that he could have done, when in reality it was probably just a couple $1,000s more than they were looking for at the time. And she's like, should I have spoken up? And to be fair, she does have, like you said, does have the one bite of the apple rule. I do agree with that. I think that maybe if it was really too expensive, she could be like, do we actually have the money for that right now? I'm not sure. Should we do this? And then he can make his decision from there. Allow him to second guess his decision. But that doesn't make the holding the tongue wrong.
No, it makes it right. It makes it
the holding of the tongue was the prudential choice, and it was a good one, because no matter what happens, it sounds like he would have bought the car, and he would have to deal with the consequences one way or another, whether she spoke or whether she didn't speak. It wouldn't. She didn't do anything wrong by not speaking, and you're right. She did the right thing. Yeah. And even if she did like I said, if she took a bite of the apple, that would still be a prudential decision. That could be the right decision too. That's it. There's no real problem here. And he's making a problem out of it.
Yeah.
Well, more women need to hold their tongue. I'm just going to say this right out. That is something that as a wife now for 20 years, that's something I've actively put on number 1 on my list, is that he doesn't need my stupid opinion about everything. Everything's going to be fine. God has us covered. I married a smart guy. He does not need my 2 cents on everything. And women have been told that the household will, I guess, flounder, or something horrible happen if at every turn there's not a 2 cents being put in by the wife.
Pride.
I'm telling you.
Pride.
So been so freeing. It's been so freeing for me, and it's actually brought me a lot closer to God too, because it's helped me to exercise the virtue of just trust and love of the Lord, and in other ways, just to be able to put my hands up and be, you know what, I'm going to let him make the decision. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. He's a smart guy. I trust him, and I trust God, and I don't need to chirp in every 3 seconds when he's making
it. Also has this, remember that old Chesterton quote, put first things first and second things second, you get both. Put first things second things first, you get neither. Here's the nice second thing, the fruit that's very pleasant for wives who begin exercising the principle, the first thing of being quiet, shutting your mouths, which women today think they should never do. The more that you've done this over the years, Steph, just more quietude, less even trying the bite of the apple, which, as Joe said, is itself a prudential judgment. The more infrequently you try it, the more frequently I am likely to accept your advice when you do peep in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Women, that's your key. You want the key to marriage, and you want your husband to listen to you more, then talk less.
Yeah, pick your battles.
Pick your battles.
It's not a real battle because it's just the one. Yeah. Pick your apples. Your one bite of the apple.
And trust your husband, for goodness sakes. You picked this man to be your leader. You picked this man to be your spouse until the day that you die. You got to have some trust here. I mean, let's think about this psychologically. If you want to give your 2 cents, if you want to chime in on every little thing that goes on, if you want to have a seat at the table in every discussion and every decision and everything that everything that goes on in your household, what are you doing to yourself? You're taking yourself, you're stressing yourself out. God gave you this husband to carry those things on his shoulder for you. He's sacrificing this decision making that you don't have to make. I mean, I don't know how many men go up to me and say, oh, I love my wife because I can just tell her anything. Well, I really hope you don't tell her everything, because you really are responsible for her well-being. You're supposed to create a home for her that is safe. You're protecting the home from the anxieties of the outside world. You're protecting your home from a lot of things that are unfit for a female ear. These are part of your duties as a husband, and you do carry that on your shoulders. That's why it's important for male spaces, for male friendship, for all these other things among males, so we can get things off of our chest in a way that we don't have to project it and pile it on top of our wives, which when you interject, you're trying to do voluntarily. It's stupid. It's stupid. Unburden yourselves, ladies. Unburden yourselves. Sorry for crashing out, but
let's play it one more time. And bear in mind, I cut off the line or two before this just because I wanted to keep it quick. What he's saying here, Joe Heshmire, is that this is one of two polar opposite wrong interpretations of Ephesians 5. So he's saying this is the first incorrect interpretation, what this woman says, and she sounds like a great woman.
Is there a better file, or is it this the only one?
I think that's the only one. I mean, we'd have to find it there.
Because I think there's a longer clip of him talking about it somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a whole video. But it's 12 minutes. And then he spends most of his time mocking the South Pole, the feminist answer that I guess even Catholic Answers has decided to repudiate. That's a reasonably new position because they used to be outright feminist. Remember when I debated Trent Horn at Catholic Answers Studios on whether feminism is good? Okay, here's Joe. So this is they're embarrassed. They're ashamed. They know this is wrong to try to cut this in half and to take the limited hangout. And that's what they're doing. That's why he keeps it 26 seconds long. Well,
this is the last battleground of feminism. Everyone's kind of shifted over towards us on the feminist issue writ large, but where the last battleground is prudential matters.
Right.
So it's interesting to see how they're still floundering on that.
Both coming from the Protestant world. The first one is a model of headship that I think is expressed well in a letter that a woman named Mary wrote to Pastor John Piper, in which she says, I know that submission is a requirement of the wife, and I've been working hard lately to hold my tongue and agree with my husband, even when I have a different opinion. In her letter, she goes on to ask if she's erred by going along with her husband's decision to unwisely buy a new car, even when she knew he was making a mistake. So that's the first model of headship. It means something like the husband makes all the decisions, the wife's role is just to hold her tongue or to agree with him, even if she really knows he's wrong. On the other side of the issue,
you can't know someone's wrong. So this adverb unwisely is what we call a petitio principio, or a begging of the question. Yep. She doesn't know whether it's wise. He doesn't know whether it's wise. Most of us don't know none of us, I should say, know with certitude whether our prudential judgments are wise in real time. Phronesis or prudence is called the male virtue. It's from book 6 of the Nicomachean Ethics, because women don't have the right to make prudential decisions for their family, like how much is too expensive. The husband does. So when you say unwisely buy this car, you're begging the question. We have some 20th century Pope quotes, after you say whatever you want to say, Joe, to back up what we're arguing here.
Well, I mean, in fact, the only thing wrong that woman wrote in her letter was to use the word unwise as a factual statement. Saying that something is unwise definitively, when you are in the role of under, if you are in the submissive role, is disordered. That's not your purview. That's not your authority.
Point of authority. Placed in one person's hands. So a petitio principio is when you presume what you set out to prove, right? Two gold miners stumble upon 3 blocks of gold, and A says to B, "That's 2 for me and 1 for you." And B says, "Why is that 2 for you and 1 for me?" And A says, "Because I'm the leader of this outfit." And then B says, "Who made you the leader of the outfit?" And he says, "Well, because I have more gold." So you're proving the premises with the conclusion with the premises. It's not certain whether or not prudential decisions are wise or unwise. Some are more obvious a guess than others, but we'll find out all prudential answers at the end of time, at the eschaton. This is what you need to tell your wives when they're like, "This is such an obvious one, though. It's practically certain." It's not. Even the obvious prudential decisions are the husband's until the end of the time. If it's a really egregiously faulty decision, he'll be judged for it. Here's Pope Leo XIII, the first 20th century Pope, in Arcanum, saying the husband is the chief of the family, the head of the wife, the woman because she is flesh of his flesh, right? She's made of him. She's less than him in rank, and bone of his bone, must be subject to her husband and obey him. Okay? That's a dense quote from Arcanum. She must be subject to him and obey him. There is no obedient subjection of husband to wife. I mean, just let that ring clear. Do you want to say anything there, Joe? There's like nothing to say to these.
Well, I mean, it's hard when like you have so many popes, you have scripture, you have everything telling you that women are to obey. And, there's some fleshing out of what obey means, I suppose, but obey is pretty all encompassing. It's like the way that you obey, the way that you obey a pontifical authority over you is very similar to the way that a woman is to be obedient to her husband. Her husband is the sovereign over his household. He's the pastor of his household, like on these matters. And some people say this is only a spiritual headship. And I was like, no, it is literally a temporal and a spiritual headship over the household and the family. And obviously when you're talking about the temporal, that includes prudential and moral.
Right.
Prudential and moral. So for example, I'm going to bring up a quick quote right now from Casti Canubi. It's paragraph 27. You go look at it yourself. He says, this subjection, this is quoted in the video that Joe Heshmire did. And I definitely want to touch on this before we close, because
which is why I'm confident he's being intellectually somewhat dishonest.
That's what I said. If there's one thing in this video that reduces the amount of charity that I'm willing to give him, it's this part right here. He says, this subjection, however, does not. He's talking about wives' subjection to their husband. This subjection, however, does not deny or take away the liberty which fully belongs to the woman, both in view of her dignity as a human person and in view of her most noble office of wife and mother and companion. Now that's saying it's not denying the mother's authority over her children. It's also saying that it's not denying her natural liberty to choose to do good, not to do evil, to choose to do good, the right thing, the objective moral law, the natural law, those things. That's right. What this is talking about. It goes on to say, and in view of her most noble office as wife and mother and companion, nor does it bid her obey her husband's every request. That's where everybody gets hung up. Obey his every request. But this is the clarification. if not in harmony with right reason or with the dignity due to wife, nor in fine does it imply that the wife should be put on a level with those persons who in law are called minors. So you're not reducing the mother below her role. You're not taking her to the level of a toddler. You're not taking her to the level of a 10-year-old. What you're doing is not, she doesn't have to agree with everything. It's not an indiscriminate agree with every single thing. It's not an indiscriminate do everything. It says right reason here.
Which means failure to sin. Right.
This is the obfuscation. Right reason. People are thinking like, oh, right reason, like it's a reasonable decision. Like prudentially, it was well reasoned. It was rightly reasoned. No, he means by right, he means wrong or right. He means like moral or immoral.
Rectitude.
It's completely different word. You guys are taking it out of context. Joe Heshmire, you're taking it out of context.
Well, wait, here's the proof. The Roman Catechism, Leo the 13th, Benedict the 15th, and Pius the 10th all say that the wife has to obey her husband in all things except for sin or grave matter. Not, let's beg the question on a prudential decision and make erecto ratio into a I think I know the better checkers move than you. Not that. Pius X says this. It is addressed to the delegation of the Union of Italian Catholic Ladies. After creating man, God created woman and determined her mission, namely that of being man's companion, helpmeet, and consolation. It is a mistake, therefore, to maintain that women's rights are the same as man's. Okay? That's why women can be equal in dignity. They can go to heaven, but she doesn't have the same rights. She doesn't have the same rank. She is to obey him in all things except for sin.
This is why I want to build off of this. This is why I'm skeptical that Joe had bad intentions going into this, because all he has to do is read on in the same paragraph.
Right.
And it says, but it forbids that exaggerated liberty which cares not for the good of the family. It forbids that in this body, which is the family, the heart be separated from the head to the great detriment of the whole body and the proximate danger of ruin. For if man is the head, the woman is the heart. And as he occupies the chief place in ruling, so she may and ought to claim for herself the chief place in love. Right. This is clearly rebuking his own argument. He specifically took one paragraph, or he took one sentence, one group of sentences from paragraph 27 without finishing paragraph 27. And I don't know if you're a poor researcher. I hope in all hopes, let me just put it that way, that Joe Heshmire is this bad of a researcher, because I'm citing the same paragraph that you cited for the right reason comment, the one that you took out of context, and read 3 down where it verifies exactly Tim and I's reading of this passage from Casti Connubii. You can go look at it yourselves. I'm not making this up.
Also from Casti Connubii, paragraph 74, the same false teachers like Catholic Answers and Joe Heshmire, who try to dim the luster of conjugal faith and purity, do not scruple to do away with the honorable and trusting obedience that the woman owes to the man.
Same trusting. That means on prudential matters.
On prudential matters. Many of them even go further and assert that such a subjection of one party to the other is unworthy of human dignity, that the rights of husband and wife are equal. Wherefore, they boldly proclaim the emancipation of women has been or ought to be effected. This is Joe Heshmire. This is Catholic Answers. This is Lila Rose. Do you need me to repeat this? The same false teachers who try to dim the luster of conjugal faith say exactly what Joe Heshmire just said.
And it's such a disrespect to God to instruct women and for women to take this mantle of authority upon themselves. Because I'll say this, God gave men this gift. God gave husbands the gift of leadership, and for a wife to usurp God's will and to block God's gift to man, and for Catholic Answers to be flirting with, or even worse, this idea that a wife can step in and block the gift that God has given to the husband is outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. And I challenge Christian wives. When you're challenging your husband's authority, you are challenging God. You are challenging God's gift to your husband to rule over the household.
Which is why
good luck with that.
Which is why wifely disobedience is a mortal sin. It's a mediated disobedience of God.
How can man love the father if he doesn't love his earthly father? And how can woman love the father if they can't love their husband? It's that simple.
Yep.
Should we play the Lila Rose thing?
Yeah, real quick. Pius XI also says in paragraphs 76, 77, 78 of Casti Connubii, this equality of rights, which is so much exaggerated and distorted, must indeed be recognized in those rights which belong to the dignity of the human soul. So the right to breathe, the right to water, the right to whatever, go to mass, which are proper to the marriage contract. And such things undoubtedly both parties enjoy the same rights. So anything pertaining to dignity, like she can go to mass, anything that will enable her to go to heaven, are bound by the same obligations. In other things, there must be a certain inequality and due accommodation, which is demanded by the good of the family and the right ordering of and unity and stability of home life. So this is just more proof that Joe was absolutely, Joe Heshmire, not being honest when he quoted Casti Connubii. I mean, it's saying the exact opposite of what he's saying. And
multiple places, including the paragraph that he cited.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much more disingenuous. I'm sorry. It doesn't get more disingenuous than the fact that your own interpretation of Casti Connubii is rebuked in the same paragraph of Casti Connubii that you cited. It's very difficult to believe that you didn't read that, Joe.
Also, Pius XI goes on in Quadragesimo Anno to say it is an intolerable abuse for wives to work outside the home. And all the popes after him repeat this. Pius XII will say, work away from the home degrades women's true dignity. So a lot of this is oriented toward women acting like men's equals in economic matters, which stems from having a job. All the Piuses reject it. 10, 11, and 12 say, no, women do not have this right. They don't have equal rights. And it's basically every pope of the 20th century. Now, let's see one instance of a feminist named Lila Rose, who is trying to be nice here. She's using that nicey church girl tone, and listen to the disrespectful, embarrassing, mortifying way she talks about her husband. It's truly, she just blocked me and Joe.
Yeah. Because of the videos that we did.
Blocked both of you.
Before this.
Oh my gosh, she's such a child. I saw this clip and I'm just like, does she like her husband at all? And you can tell how much she likes herself with the way she's described like their courtship. But I cannot believe the absolute disrespect that this woman just spoke about her husband when she's trying to be nice. Like what does it sound like when she's upset? If this is her being nice. Anyway, we'll get to super chats after this.
Yeah, super chat.
Were you attracted right away?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Were you attracted right away? Was there chemistry right away?
So curious about this, actually.
Or was it more like a slow burn? Was it a Jim and Pam situation from The Office?
So I think when I first met him, I definitely thought he was cute. You know, he's handsome. You know, he's objectively handsome, but it wasn't like butterflies, star, you know, lightning flashing.
That experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think there is and it ended up, and for him, you know, can
you pause it for a second?
I did, you know, say,
you know what my wife tells people about our story? She's like, I went on a date with this man, and when I went home and talked to my mother, the only thing I could say was, I'm going to marry this man.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she tells our story.
That's how it's supposed to be.
It's filled with dignity. It's filled with respect. It's filled with veneration. It's filled with honor. The way that my wife tells stories about how we met is, it's beautiful. It makes me feel good. If she were to be on camera, which I will never do for her own safety, that's just what I want to do. It's just what I want to do. I live in Detroit, so you know.
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
yeah. So I just like I can't comprehend her like saying bad things about me publicly. If I had her on camera, I'd be like, shout this story from the rooftops.
Well, wait until you guys see Steph's testimony about our courtship in What a Woman Is. I'll just say this: it nearly brought Will Noland to tears. Terminator himself to tears. It's so beautiful. Now contrast that with what Lila goes on to say. Every bit here is to elevate herself and drag him down.
Again, like if you didn't have butterflies with your husband, then don't talk about how you
just don't say it.
Golly.
Hold your tongue.
Yeah, my goodness, lady. Okay, so she just said, I'm trying to back it up a little bit. She just said that he is objectively handsome, but she didn't have butterflies. Now he did apparently have butterflies for her.
Him, I think he was very excited, thankfully, and asked me out. But I wasn't going into I just met the man I'm going to marry. I was definitely interested.
He was
the opposite of what my wife says.
Yeah, I know. He was excited. I was not, is what she just said, subtexting, not very subtly.
Yikes. Already 3 whiffs, and this is 36 seconds in.
This is brutal.
Everybody put on a brave face.
And the only reason we're playing this is not to dunk on her, but to show you the cautionary example of the nasty, vile evils of feminism. She doesn't even realize she sounds like this. Lila thinks she's nicey, prissy church girl, and she's being mean right now. She's just saying it in that passive aggressive, nice tone. I feel bad for the husband.
I feel sympathy when I heard this whole clip. I actually felt heartbreak for her husband. It's like, what man wants his woman out there talking about how she wasn't that into him? He was more into her. She didn't have butterflies. She didn't think that this was going to be the man she was going to marry. And this is 36 seconds in. She honestly owes her husband an apology. This is shameful.
In him and excited that he wanted to take me out. I was like, yeah. But I think that I guess the lesson, maybe the takeaway for my little story is that the sudden sparks. I think some people, especially depending on your personality type, everything's an adventure. That's kind of the way I am. You're open to everything. Mm-hmm. Everything's exciting. Everything's a spark. Everything's like a connection.
Not everything,
but and so you may be looking for something super intense. When you meet your future spouse, it needs to be like the lightning just flashed, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's something soft and quiet. It's like the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit. It's like,
no, it's not. It's not. No, kids, that's the thing. Not everything's a spark. Doing laundry sucks. Cleaning your chonies is boring. Meeting your spouse should be a spark. It was for me. It was for Steph.
It still is. And that's the thing. We've been married 20 years and I'm still excited when you walk into a room and I'm sad when you leave. And I still want to spend every single time I can with you. I'm sorry for her that she didn't have that. And I'm even sorrier for her husband because it sounds like he did for her. And she's just trying to excuse this. But
how do you start a dynamic of authority when you're legitimately swooning and she isn't? It's one thing if you're both into each other, that's good, that's the ideal. But let's say, and I believe her when I believe everything that she's saying. I believe that it's actually true and it actually explains a lot. But it's like these are things that you would never say if they were true because they're shameful and honestly, it's tragic that she didn't get that spark when she met her husband. These are all tragic things. It's like you don't go shout from the rooftops that you're molested or something like that. These are bad things. These are shameful things that the sinful world has thrust upon you. You don't just casually talk about it. It's like trauma posting and frankly, doing so at trauma posting at the expense of your husband's honor is incredibly disordered. It's just incredibly disordered.
Yeah, man.
Oh, but then we didn't get engaged for another year. So it wasn't like we jumped into engagement. There were a lot of things going on in his life and in my life that were, things to sort through, basically.
Taking down Planned Parenthood and stuff.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think because I dated a lot of other guys, I had more.
What was that? Let me see.
I think because I dated a lot of guys.
Wait.
This goes from bad.
Did she say she dated a lot of guys or she was dating a lot of guys?
No, she had dated.
She had dated. Okay, I misheard that. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Let's back that one up a little bit here. I
gotta rewind.
Okay, good. No, I totally, my bad.
This was, I think we need to start this one back over. This needs to be unpacked a little bit.
I think because I had dated a lot of other guys, I had more of a sense of what mattered and what didn't. Mm-hmm. So I if you had asked me that at age 23, I would have maybe been like, like, and if I met my husband at 23.
So she's saying if she'd met him at 23, she would have been not into him. That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm
posting again.
It is trauma posting. I met you when you were 18 and you were like, this guy is the handsomest man in the universe.
Very, yeah, I felt lucky that you picked me. And it's like any wife who's not out there saying that, you suck. I'm sorry.
Like, it's just like, why aren't you sad?
I know.
That's my question. Like if I was retelling myself meeting my wife and I had to tell it this way or not tell it at all, I would be depressed. I would be sad.
I would choose not telling it at all.
It would be a fight. Like if I went out there and I said anything like this, like even one of these things, he would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Well,
What's wrong with you?
wouldn't, because these just aren't true.
Of course I would never. I was not one of these things she said, do I relate
Marry
to?
someone that thrills you, people. All right, let's go.
Golly, horrible.
Key in terms of things that don't matter. And again, he's amazing. So I'm not trying to say there's things that I don't love. You know, I love him 100%, right? Yeah. But by the time that I met him, I was 28. I had definitely, you know, dated a lot of different kinds of guys too. Yeah. And so I had a sense for what mattered. And he also had dated a number of girls. He had a sense for what mattered too.
He dated Leslie.
Wait, why did the text contradict what she said?
Yeah, I know. The text did contradict. He also had dated one or two girls.
Was she trying to save herself? I think that might be what just happened. So she might have tried to save herself by like, oh, I sound a little like I was with a lot of guys. That's not good. That doesn't sound good. So let me also throw my husband into this, and it isn't true. So then in edit they added the text at the end. Like, no, actually he didn't. Is that what happened here?
I think Defiant Baptist, who retweeted this, like dunking on Lila, added the text.
Yeah, this is Defiant Baptist.
Is that him? Oh, this isn't Lila's clip. This is he's adding the text.
Sorry.
To be fair to Lila, he compiled all of this, these clips, and he added the text.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, dude.
Yeah, but still,
it's kind of cheeky, I guess, but it's like not good.
Yeah, so
it wasn't a big drama. I think that's what it comes. It's a maturity thing. Like it wasn't this big drama. Like, oh, but like whatever the thing is, right? He doesn't love to hike, or he does love to hike, but you know, whatever the thing is, like, oh, I'm trying to think what it would have been at 23. That he's not crusading around the world. Yeah. You know, he's in the military, right? He's now a lawyer. Like it's not your typical like, you know, free-spirited entrepreneur traveling the world and doing
the ironic thing is she's saying she would have been more attracted to him when she was 23 if he had been an entrepreneur. He was the one crusading around the world, literally. She
said, I wanted a crusader, but my husband was too busy fighting wars overseas in the Holy Land.
Literally, he was probably in like the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah. Catholic feminists do. They try to cloak everything in maturity. They try to cloak mediocrity in maturity. I'm just like, lady, you just basically went on there and talked about how you weren't that into him. He's into you, like, and just gave like 6 reasons why you basically settled for this poor man who's like clearly supporting her idiotic dream of boss babedom. It's just like, I don't know what happened to women, but we're horrible.
She dressed him down. That's what it was. Like it might as well have been like her turn in a rap battle just to like dehumanize him, dude. It's like B Rabbit in 8 Mile, and she's just like shredding him.
Except he does it for himself.
Yeah, he doesn't get a turn though because
she totally B Rabbited her husband. Yeah. That is so true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we have some super chats.
So feminism is really evil, even when it's someone that's thinks she's Miss Priss and does everything right. You see the evil fruits of it, even though she's not trying to. Same thing when we did the video of Lila versus Pearl, Joe. It's like she thinks she's being the more polite one with the upper hand all the time because Pearl says wrong things from a Catholic perspective or gross things, but Pearl gets men-women relations better than Lila does, even though Pearl will say more.
Again, I still think that Lila's disingenuous. I take it further than you on this one because I hate to say it, she knows she's watching this content. There's no doubt in my mind.
And I'll say too with the Pearl thing, like we were talking about this afterwards and for Thanksgiving, people are saying, well, she's right about this issue that's plaguing society, the prawn issue. and I even keep saying this word. I'll say the problem is it's gross when women talk about this in general.
Yeah.
Women have no business talking about men's like midnightly habits. It's
they could tell their own man, hey,
It's
would you please,
scandalous.
would you
Yes.
stop this?
Yeah,
It's
but that's
disgusting.
behind closed doors. Like, a woman should not be on the internet like I am right now. I'm kind of being a hypocrite, but just to make the point, like, it's gross
Don't
when
say the
women
word.
are talking about this stuff. Leave it to the dudes. This is men's talk. Nobody wants some girl talking about this stuff.
Some girl goes up to a man like and starts telling him that, you know, that habit is bad. Like, all you're going to do, in fact, all I would see that doing is driving a man further into it. I don't see how that would help in any way.
And it's a girl saying pornography is itself pornographic.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right, couple of super chats. We are going to do a local show stream directly after this one, so locals, look for that that link in the locals page. If you're a monthly supporter on YouTube and Subscribestar, the link will be provided as well. First super chat, Tim. When is the documentary coming out?
You'll have to be a locals to now, because I mean, I'm gonna announce that next week, and you know, maybe late this week. Sorry to tease it, but I thought I would have the announcement ready for today. Still working out a contract, but locals might get a little sneak peek at, you know, what the likely conditions are. Sorry.
Okay.
If you're a local, then you get that.
Hi, does Tim still do out-of-state speaking gigs on feminism? If so, is email on the website the best way to set it up? Thanks.
It is. Your bishop will probably shut it down, but and so if you're going to go through your bishop, then it's kind of yeah. Hit me up.
Timothy J. Gordon at timothyjgordon.com.
Bishops will shut it down at the last minute.
Don't do it through your diocese. If you're going to do something, do private, and it'll work. Okay. Yo, Tim, new Catholic and newly married. We don't have kids, and my wife still has a job. Should she leave her job and be at home before we, God willing, have kids on the way? P.S. Where's that hoodie from? Can I just say real quick that when a woman becomes married, her vocation is wife. Like, and that to do that well and beautifully, you have to be home to do that. So her
Yes,
vocation
the answer is
wife.
yes. She should quit her job.
Yeah, 100%.
No less now than once you start having kids. The reason a woman must quit her job, according to the Roman Catechism, is getting married, not having kids. When she becomes a wife, not a mother. This is from what is this called? crownofthorns.org.
Crown of Thorns Academy.
With Crown of Thorns Academy. Do we have the link that we can put up? Lots
I
of people
don't.
like this.
Let's ask AJ.
My friend AJ Barker makes these clothes. They're really dope. And Crown of Thorns Academy, look it up online. It supports the Academy. So.
Okay, next one. Just want to plug that Robert Maros' new book is out today that proves Malachi Martin was made not only a bishop, but a cardinal. It's a great read. Never heard of it. We'll have to check it out.
I mean, I've heard of it.
You have?
Yeah, he's going on. I think he's going on France. No book proves anything, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at the case for it.
All right. So here we go. So we're going to do a locals show.
And the local show, if you want to become a local and jump in, because we do need local support, particularly the end of the year. Become a locals for $10 a month or $15 a month, and then you can get these early announcements. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb before the contract is inked, but it's basically been in the works for months. And I'm going to go ahead and announce 2 locals. So if you want to hear where you can finally view what a woman is in a few short weeks today, then become a locals and jump into this session.
You can't view it today, but you will be able
Can't
to view
it today, but
soon.
you'll be able to hear where you're going to be able to view it. I'm going to make that announcement in probably 4 to 6 days broadly. God bless you all. Thank you all. Feminism is evil. God bless Joe Heshmire. God bless Lila Rose. God bless her husband. I hope these people work it out. And, they're going to be, I don't know, disconnected from the Catholic mainstream if they work it out. That's how it works. There is a pipeline, a feminist pipeline in mainstream Catholicism that keeps these people from being able to say the full truth. The most they can say is a limited hangout. Joe Enders, thanks for joining me again. Did you have a last word?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to remind everybody that Red Top Premium is back up. I'm actually able to take subscriptions on YouTube. You can also subscribe to my channel on Subscribestar as well. Just search Red Top Report in the search bar. For as little as, I think, $4.99 a month, you can get access to my series on the unalienable rights, where I critique them from a Catholic perspective. They're all as they're outlined in the Declaration of Independence. It's a 4-part series. I touch on equality, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in that. And I highly recommend checking it out, guys. It's really good stuff.
Awesome. All right. God bless you all. Day is full.